we generally try to edit out our voices.
Understand.
So we kind of rely on you to
repeat the question and answer.
You're so good, yeah. And then here's the other thing that we need, because it's so hot and because this is only a 41-minute film, and what we're going to have you say, we need it to be as short as possible.
Okay.
So I know. So I'm probably, please don't be offended, if I stop you and say, can we say that in a nutshell, or can we just say that a little shorter, or can we find a way to just, so let's try to like, give the short answer, and then if we need like more explanation, then we'll go back to that. It's kind of, what are you thinking there?
That's fine.
It's okay?
Yeah. I mean, unless you ask a doozy of a question, I'll do my best.
Well, I'm sure all of them could give me a really good, like, long, complex answer, because they're kind of complex questions. So, but I'm just hoping that we can get to a short kind of, just a short way of answering it.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Yeah, because I know some of them are, especially when you get into some of the religious explanations, they're complicated. So it's hard to synthesize. But let's just try.
I will do my best.
Okay.
We get the same complaint from other organizations about how my writing is too much of a collegiate level. People don't understand it.
Yeah.
Because I force people to think about what is being said and stuff.
Well,
like
that's
that.
it. I mean, and we need to have this at kind of a third grade level.
Gotcha. I'll do, like I said, I'll do my best.
Thank you. Okay, are we going, guys?
Good.
Okay, so we'll just start out with you just telling me your name and who's in your family.
What do you mean by family?
Like the people in your immediate family.
Oh, okay.
Just say their names.
That live here with me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Adam Daniels. My wife is Kelsey Daniels. My children are Mary, Amber, and Crystal.
So now I have another request.
I'm sorry.
Because you're in a swivel chair.
Yeah. Stop
if
swiveling.
You can try not swiveling. That'd be great too.
Sorry, I'm just going to get this hood. I'm getting the flare.
What happened?
He's just getting a thing for his screen. Oh, that's just the monitor. Okay. Okay. Could I have you just scoot, 2 inches to your right? Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm ready.
So, and then if you could tell me your name. I'm Adam Daniels, and then what your title is at the church.
My name is Adam Daniels. I am the Dastur of the Dogma Longer Menu, Dastur meaning high priest. It is a direct derivative and a blasphemy of the Zoroastrian clergy.
Okay, can I have you say that one again? And when I ask you to say it again, it's only because we like to have options when we edit. It's not like you said it wrong or anything like that.
My name is Adam Daniels. My title is Dastur. It is means high priest, and it is blaspheming the Zoroastrian clergy titles.
Great. And I don't know if we mentioned this, but you can just look at me and you don't have to look in the camera.
I'm doing as best I can with this light in my face. I apologize. It's okay.
Well,
I'll do what I can do.
So, and tell me about living in Oklahoma and being a devil worshiper.
Well, living in Oklahoma on its own is pretty rough. This is a very passive-aggressive group of people who are very scared and don't want to make decisions for themselves. So you take that inclination and you add in the extra fear that the Catholic Church likes to spread about what we aren't. It makes things difficult. There's a lot of quiet prejudice, and there's a lot of bigotry. But it's quiet bigotry. It's not like we go out in the street and get physically or verbally accosted. It's more just, you won't get service. They won't talk to you. They won't acknowledge that you exist, things like this. But they know that there are certain things that they have to abide by because of the law.
And why is it that people won't? Why won't people talk to you, or that why?
Bigotry and fear mostly, because a lot of the rumors that go around the city is that they're so claiming that we're doing the heinous things that they've been claiming witches have been doing, or claiming witches since the witch hunts. According to them, we're killing babies, sacrificing things, making candles out of baby fat, and all the rest of that. So they got everybody so scared of us that they just try to avoid us.
And what do they consider you? Like, what would they say if they go, there goes Adam, he is the...
I don't know. I've never heard it. It's all very silent.
And so if you could you actually just give me tell me what you were just saying, but start it with being a devil worshiper in Oklahoma, and then just...
Being a devil worshiper in Oklahoma is a very hard way of living because a lot of people have silent bigotry about you. In Oklahoma, everything's passive aggressive. People they're very silent because they're always scared. And then obviously the rumors at the Catholic Church about us scares me even more. And it's the same type of rumors that they've been spreading since the witch hunts.
And then how would you describe your religion? Because you created this religion, right?
It's pieced together from older religions that predate Christianity. And so the best explanation is we're not monotheistic, we're monoism, which means we recognize all the other gods, but we have our main deity that we worship and try to become like. We call it becoming a living embodiment. So we're trying to make ourselves a living embodiment of the devil. And the original devil is Angre Menu. He comes from Zoroastrianism. It's not the devil, it's not Lucifer, it's not the Satan that everybody thinks it is. It's a completely different creature. So to itemize what it is, Ariel and the devil is the antithesis to God. They're twins. They're both just as powerful as the other one is, and it's a constant fight for the balance of who's going to control the material world, because who controls the material world controls the spiritual world. And we are, in essence, our own devils trying to fulfill the devil's plan on the material plane.
So, thinking third grade level.
We worship the Zoroastrian devil to embody his attributes and bring about antithetical chaos into the world.
You're good. That's good. But you're a devil worshiper, but it's not technically the devil that you worship?
We technically worship the original devil, the first devil. Zoroastrianism was the first religion to create monotheism. Well, first they started as a duality and then moved into a monotheism. So the concept that you see, the original Satan in the Dark Ages, where he's eating souls and everything else, is based off of Angre Menu, but it is not the same as Angre Menu, because the devil doesn't devour souls. The devil's not interested in souls. He's interested in corrupting the peace that returns to God so that he can corrupt God.
And that's what you're interested in?
Yes.
And what would that look like? Like, what would it look like if you were successful?
A lot of people will say that it'll be a direct inversion. So they're like, everybody's going to run around killing everybody, and it's just going to be pure chaos and war and nasty and da-da-da-da-da. Not really. Rudolf Steiner best described the Arianic impulse, and it would reflect how Rome, the Empire of Rome, would be. So it would be similar, in my opinion, to how Rome was ran back in the ancient world before the Catholics took it over.
And do you feel, I know when you were doing, like, last night, that there was some feeling of the ghost or the devil, the spirit. I don't even know what the words are.
Kalima, the entity spirit. Kalima is the direct deity that we were working with last night.
And what does it feel like when you're in their presence?
Each one feels different. And that's how you can help distinguish them. Kalima is, I get a guttural sensation, but it's a light guttural sensation, and I'll get a tickling in my nose. But when you actually feel the presence of Angr Menu, and it's been happening more lately than usual, it's basically like an elephant is standing on your chest, and you just want to throw up. But if you can keep it together and hold it together, it's just an amazing, powerful feeling. In fact, a lot of our guys who've done the guided meditations through the 4 levels of hell, and it's the same thing with me. When you look at him through a spiritual wall, it's like this huge bestial eye, and he's so big that the only thing you can see is the bestial eye that he's looking at you with.
Okay, let's see, I think.
Do a paper towel.
Yep.
Oh, am I sweating that bad?
You know what? It just glistens a lot with these lights.
Okay.
So it's not even a lot. It's just that. You know what? Can you put it on the floor, or is that going to be in your shot?
No, it's fine on the floor. Yeah, it's totally dark.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm going to move on to rituals. Does anybody want anything more on the actual?
I think that's a good summation, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so if you could tell me about what some of the, because aren't there 365 rituals?
Oh God, there's probably more than that.
And you created them?
Well, a lot of you're specifically talking about the self-transformative rituals, correct?
I think so.
Okay. A lot of those are psychological. A lot of it is psychological exercises adapted and a magical purpose. So, like for example, when you're doing the test in the mirror or the ritual in the mirror, where you're telling yourself that you love yourself over and over again, is to create self-acceptance, to create self-love. And then there's other ones where you're standing there and I dedicate this hand to Angr Menu, I dedicate this heart to Angr Menu, I dedicate this cock to Angr Menu, I dedicate these toes to Angr Menu. That is showing a point of submission that you are dedicating yourself to the deity. Again, that is the admiring and the worshiping. It's not that there's a different one each day, they're just in sets. So like the first set is the first 5 days, and then the next set are 5. Some of them go, the longest one is when you're summoning the Calco demons, and so there's 57 of those, because you've got to go through each demon, and there's 57 demons.
So just on a top level then, just give me an idea of, there are over 300 or over 500 rituals that, and then what the purpose of those rituals are. And then I'm going to have you tell me, like, they range from this to this. You know?
I would say in that book there's approximately 125 self-transformative rituals. But that's an approximation. I can't give you an exact number. I can count it if you want. But
approximate's good.
The purpose of those rituals, since we're focused on that, is we're taking somebody who's never opened an occult book. We're taking somebody who's never read anything out of a magical book. I had to base it off of Johnny Dumbass up the road and make him to where he can be a functioning sorcerer. So we're starting off with the basic, just doing the prayers themselves. And the prayers in Zoroastrianism and the prayers that we use in this is to summon the lesser demons. Like you guys were running around the house yesterday constantly scratching like you had bugs on you. Well, metaphysically you did. This house, especially in here, is just covered in droog. And those original prayers are to summon droog in. Because the demons manifest, the lesser demons are noxious creatures of the earth. So they manifest like bugs, serpents, snakes, scorpions. And that's their energy. But they create like a hive over everything metaphysically and become a shielding to, like, saying the Catholics want to send a prayer and archangel at me. Well, they got to cut through all these bugs before they can even begin to assimilate anything in here. So first we got to get them acquainted with those guys. Then we got to get them working on themselves. So like the next set of rituals, you're masturbating to yourself in front of a mirror. We've already had a pretty good discussion about what the mirrors are for, the vanity mirrors. da-da-da-da. But you're learning how to control your mind and the masturbatory behavior, because that is the energy, that visceral adrenal energy from lust is what feeds those demons that energy. And so you have to be able to concentrate, not only look at yourself and look at your own genitalia and accept that as a part of yourself. You also have to be able to maintain a type of vision in your head of what you want to see happen, and also watch yourself masturbate at the same time. Everything is just building the person up to deal with the magical things. And then it gets into loving yourself, respecting yourself, the dedicating yourself to the devil. And then it gets into the core magic of the bastardized version of Enochian that we used, so that they can use the Calco demons, because the Calco demons have the highest effect directly on reality than any of the other demons that we have. And then we move into self-guided meditation, which then reflects into things like the Kabbalic Tree of Life, where they're using the different Setharos, and they go into a self-guided meditation to let themselves fall into that so that they can discover that plane on a metaphysical level. Since in Zoroastrianism, there's only 4 layers of hell, in that book it's only set up for those 4 planes. In the next book it'll be all 28 layers that are called Nakara, which come out of Hinduism.
Your knowledge of this is like so impressive. It's incredible.
Thank you.
So would you say that the rituals, do they follow kind of is it like a ladder to become something?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not to become something. The first rung in Aryamani enlightenment is to expose the person not only to the dark side, if that's what you want to call it, to make it easy, not only to expose them to hell, expose them to the demons, expose them to these things, but it's also forcing them into self-acceptance. Because without self-love, without self-confidence, without self-acceptance, without self-respect, you cannot be a magician. If you cannot force your will onto other people and just will alone, there's nothing you can do magically. So if you're not stable within yourself, you don't have that within you. If you're, maybe you got self-confidence issues, maybe you got self-respect issues, maybe you have a shit ton of self-loathing. Well, there's no room for that in magic. You have to confidently know, I'm calling this demon to go do this thing, and he's going to do exactly what I told him. Here's the energy I'm providing him with to go do so. Should he be an asshole, then I'm going to cut him down and send him back to hell, and then if I summon him later, fine, fuck him. You have to understand, demons act like rabid dogs. So the best way to deal with demons is how you deal with a rabid dog. You feed it, you give it energy, you make it your friend. Then you can start sending in on things. There's an old rendition of, I'm going to sell my soul to the devil with this contract, ha 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 ha, and it all comes from the Mephistophelian mythology. But bottom line is, you're cutting deals with demons. You're summoning the thing in, you're making friends with it, you're getting to know it, it's getting to know you, you're giving it the lust energy, which is the masturbatory behavior. And then once it gilds enough of that lust energy, then you can say, hey, I need you to go handle this. But when you say I need you to go handle this, it has to be realistic. It has to be something that can be fathomable. You can't just say, I want you to make sure I have the winning lottery number so I can have all the money in the world. That's ridiculous and retarded. There's no reality base to it. But I can say, hey, when I go get a scratcher, I'd like to win 10, 15 bucks on it. Now that's in the realm of reality. So a lot of people come into magic and thinking, oh, it's going to be this whole grandiose idea and I'm going to rule the world. And no, that's not real. That's not palpable. I understand that you can create whatever image in your mind, you can make up whatever fantasy and project that out and think that it's going to happen, but it's not, unless it's something you're working towards and you're helping work to expand world domination. You're going to have to start physically making moves with that and spiritual moves to get it to cohese together. And that's why I say we befriend them and we work with them. Because if you work against them, they're going to fuck your shit up. And if you let them fuck you, they will fuck you. They will bite you and they will rape your ass too. So you have to be very careful on how you deal with these things. And that's why you see a lot of stories where people were involved in witchcraft, involved in magic, were doing demonic things, and all of a sudden they fly off the handle and do crazy shit. Because if you let them, they will guide you into doing crazy shit.
So I have a question about what's the most recent thing that you have asked for assistance with?
At this moment in time, I haven't asked for any assistance in anything. I've been dedicating everything purely to worship and creating the things so that everybody else can worship. Because to me, I know my needs are going to be met. I know We do enough things. We understand that there is a spiritual side of life and there is a physical side of life. And I have set everything up so that I can have this time dedicated to create this thing. So that I know my needs are going to be met. As far as like, you know, asking for anything outside of myself, no. Not lately, no.
And do you consider yourself a sorcerer?
Excuse me. By definition, I am a sorcerer. Sorcery is basically creating magical things or having magical things done through the use of evil spirits. So yes.
But then what's the most recent magical experience you've had?
I don't know if I'm... Fuck it. Do you remember in September of last year we had the huge lunar eclipse? Okay. That's when... that was also when in the Vedic astrology, when Ketu and the other nodes of the moon flipped. It's a spiritual flip. So right now, before last year, we were in the age where it was all materialism, evilism, selfishness, and everything else. That lunar eclipse was the flip when everything became spiritual. And these are cycles that the moon goes through. So when we made the spiritual flip, we had a different mirror rotation put up. And there was a large, long tantric ritual between Kelsey and I. Nobody else in our church was allowed in. And what we did was we brought in Chinnamasta, which is the picture above the goat head. Chinnamasta is the darkest goddess out of the entire Hindu pantheon. We brought her in, we ran her into Kelsey through the possession, and then using sexual tantric ritual, forced her back out through Kelsey and have her situated in the picture of her likeness. There was a witness there, and she could say that she physically felt a hand on her. They knew that the spirit was right where it was because they could feel the spirit. They could feel it go into Kelsey, move out of Kelsey. And since that ritual, that particular person has never come back because it scared the holy hell out of them. We have footage where you can see handprints in mirrors. We have footage where you can see faces in the mirrors. We have footage where you can see a bird leg in a mirror. We can show that to you guys. In fact, the first Yasna video, they used it in the Black Mass documentary. This thing just glows and then unglows.
Oh, wow.
Could you do another wipe?
Yes, sir.
Do you want another piece?
Yeah, just want to adjust this microphone.
I think you have to do it a lot, or else it's gonna be an issue.
So we should just keep it.
Okay.
And you guys talked about the mirror stuff yesterday. Do I need to cover that, or is
I
that?
think so.
Yeah, we got a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me about the importance, and remember just as short as third grade level, if you can, the importance of facial hair, because we were talking to Jared about it, and Jared doesn't have facial hair yet because he hasn't earned it.
He can have facial hair if he wants. I really don't care what he looks like. The clergy is required to have facial hair. The male clergy are required. It's simple. Hair, nails, any dead matter comes outside of the body, spit, tears, semen, urine, poop, whatever. It's considered arimani. It's considered evil because it's dead. And so we have the beard growing over our faces specifically so that when we eat, that food is being corrupted before it enters our body. When we talk, our talk is being corrupted as it leaves our mouth. And then if it falls out, it corrupts things. If it falls out and ends up on the ground, now I have a druid that has a spiritual weapon to fight with. So it's basically purely for corruption.
So I want to make sure I understand the corruption thing. So is corruption like what mainstream people would consider like a bad thing happening?
Let's put it to you like this. If you work on a car and your hands get really dirty, that would be corruption. Now, the things that can come from that dirt, such as disease, making things dirtier, attracting bugs and things like that, sure, you can say that.
So is the stuff that you thrive on, you thrive on corruption, and what are some examples of like big corruption?
Like huge corruption for us? Oh, I'd say if I decided to take the menses bowl, walked into a Catholic church and poured it into their holy water, that'd be great.
So
I'd get giggles off of that. That'd be hilarious.
is it mostly like antagonistic things rather
Not
than...
always. Not always. I might set up a place to put a demon into a particular place for my own protection. I might do it for my own prosperity because he might be whispering to the people around me to elevate me in a new position. So I might take a quartz crystal, put it in some ash, put some blood in it, whatever I feel is appropriate for that demon, and then hide that somewhere in order to propagate what I'm doing. Everything that we do is a double-edged sword. When you read about the Yasna and stuff, we talk about doing things in a dual nature. That means all of my magical prowess is both defensive and offensive and can be used as both or one or the other.
So can you describe this room?
You're going to have to be a little more specific.
Tell me what the room is called, and then just describe a couple things that are in it.
Well, we call it the ritual chamber. Majority of Satanism calls it a decompression chamber because to them ritual is an emotional let-out. To us, ritual is ritual. It's magic. The point of the room is set up to not only create an atmosphere for the practitioner in order to evoke the proper things that they need to be magical, it's also veneering and adoring the gods that we work with, along with veneering and worshiping ourselves at the same time. And then everything that is in the room is in the room for a specific reason to create a certain effect.
That's great. That's a really good description. And tell me about the bowl that's here.
Which one?
Isn't there like a menses bowl?
There's a menses pot, there's a collection bowl, there's also a worship bowl. Which one do you
Tell
want?
me about the menses pot.
The menses pot, that basically, like how the Catholics have a big old bowl of holy water, that is our unholy water, if you will, and that is used a lot in ritual. We basically will put it all over the altar, we'll put it all over the ritual items. Basically, it's a conduit to call the demons. Not only because of the smell, but also because you have stem cells now. Now you have a blank cell that they can play with, and it's dead. And they love that dead stuff. The Ariman thrives on dead. So whenever we're using stuff like the dead blood from the uteral lining, which was, for the creation of life, think of the blasphemy, think of the mockery of using that same thing that was supposed to create a life. Now it's dead, and now I can use it for whatever purpose I want to use it for.
Can you just give me one sentence that it's menstrual blood in there?
The menstrual blood is in the menstrual pot. Hence the name.
Great. Okay, now let's talk about the Black Mass. And just tell me how far off it is and what you're getting ready for.
It's like 3 weeks off. I don't understand the question.
So just to start out, in 3 weeks we're going to hold the Black Mass, and then tell me what it is.
In 3 weeks, we're going to hold another Black Mass at the Oklahoma City Civic Center. For us, when we use it, is we have people who are coming out of Christianity who've been involved in a long time. It's a deprogramming device. Because bottom line is, anything that you use, anything that you consume, TV, radio, whatever, you're programming your subconscious mind. So we have to unprogram their subconscious mind in order to start dealing with our stuff. Like Bruce Lee, you got to empty the cup so you can fill it back up.
And what are you doing? What kinds of things do you have to do to prepare for it?
We had a lot of the materials from last time, but a lot of it is just getting everybody in line because it's a very scripted ritual. It's very thus and so, and this happens when that happens. So a lot of it is just rehearsing and getting everybody in line, getting everybody ready to do the thing. And so that when they get in front of a group of people, they're not nervous. They don't have that crowd nervousness. So the main thing is the person factor, being able to say what they need to say, do what they need to do at the appropriate times.
And what will your role be in the Black Mass?
I believe they use the term celebrant. I will be the head celebrant. Or
And,
priest.
and what will Kelsey be?
Kelsey will be the live altar, flesh altar, however you want to describe it.
And Jeremy?
Jeremy will be the deacon, Jared will be the subdeacon, and Shmi will be banging the gong. And then Amber will be playing the part of the nun.
And then what's like the pinnacle event, the Black Mass? Like, don't you do something with Mary, Statue of Mary? Or something?
No, that's going to be a separate ritual. We're doing 2 different rituals.
Oh, okay. But that day?
That day, we'll have the Black Mass. The pinnacle, I guess, of the Black Mass is when you hold the bread and you throw it on the ground, everybody stomps on it and spits on it, and Jesus is bad and whatever. When we get into the consumption of Mary by Jai Kali Ma, that's a whole different ballgame. I'm assuming you want me to describe that in a basic form.
Please do.
How do I make this as basic as possible? The purpose of the consumption of Mary by Jai Kali Ma is to allow the goddess Kali to consume the Asura, because that's what she does. She consumes her enemies. To consume the Asura known as the Virgin Mary. Thus, through the consumption, she now takes the place of Mary and becomes the universal goddess.
And if someone's looking at it, what will they see? What will they see you doing?
They will see 3 different rituals happening at the same time. And then the pinnacle of it will be when the priestess is fully possessed by Kali Ma, walk over, basically cut its head in half, and 2 other people will take sledgehammers, destroying the statue. There will be a pig's heart based into the statue itself, and then still being possessed by Kali Ma, she will consume the heart of the Virgin Mary and will be dressed just like the pierced heart of the Virgin Mary that the Catholics use as that imagery.
And what do you think that'll feel like for you?
For me, I'm pretty much out of that entire ritual. I'm just watching everybody and making sure everything is working properly.
But do you feel something as you're watching it?
I'm more paying attention to the energy flow from point A to point C, and I'm also making sure that the rhythm is on tact, and then the energy itself will follow that rhythm and will follow straight into that statue. And if I have to redirect it and help move it in that direction, yes. As far as, do I have time to worry about how the goddess feels? Do I have time to worry about how Mary feels in the ritual? No, I have to shut that down. I have to block that out. Because this one's screaming, please don't murder me, and this one's screaming, I can't wait to eat the thing, and I have to block that out in order to keep the energy moving properly in the ritual. The reason that we have it set up in 3 different stations is so that people only have to deal with their station instead of the entire chaotic event.
And then tell me about the protesters.
They're the ones providing all the energy. They're the ones giving us all the hate. They're the ones giving us all the anger to get in there and accomplish the goal. That's what they're there for. They're nothing but fucking monkeys on strings and puppets. Fuck them.
And tell me how many protesters you anticipate?
Last time that I spoke, we know that there's going to be a minimum of 50, but by observing things on the internet, I'm going to project upwards of 150 to 200.
So you think it's going to go from, because last time it was like 1,500.
Well, it was 1,600 in the procession through the northwest side of the city when Coakley was with his little Eucharist thing. The thing's ridiculous, the monstrum. But actually, in front of the Civic Center, it was only 500 to 600. So you had 2 different types of protesting going on in 2 different areas. It was ridiculous.
Could you just use a sentence, put the word protester in a sentence so we make sure that people know what you're talking about? Like we're expecting about number of protesters.
We're expecting about 150 to 200 protesters outside the Civic Center this year.
Awesome. I think, do you need some more? Do you want another one?
Yeah, probably. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I got it, thanks, man.
Everybody good? Can you tell me about Jeremy?
You could be a little more specific.
Okay. Tell me who he is in relation to you and in relation to the church.
Jeremy is probably one of the best friends I've ever had. He is my direct understudy. He is a Herbad in the church. Herbad is a priest in training who has not received an ordination. And in general, if I need to depend on somebody, he's there to be depended upon.
And is Jeremy a sorcerer? Can he perform magic?
In his own right, he works with a different type of entity than I do, but yes.
And can you describe Jared to me in the same way?
Jared is a congregant member who has shown an exceeding amount of intelligence and understanding, but he is still wrestling with dealing what you would consider a white light energy. He's still wrestling with the morality, because a lot of things that we do requires apathy and amorality, and he's still grappling with that morality. Other than that, Jared's a great guy, but that seems to be his biggest fight right now. In my opinion, I could be completely wrong.
I can see that. And how do you get, like, is that just intuitive for you, or is there like an example?
It's very intuitive for me. This is going to sound nuts, but I really don't care anymore. We talked about the chakras before, and one of the things is people's most focused chakra, the one that sings the loudest, the one that vibrates the loudest, tells me a lot about people. So if it's their heart chakra, you're dealing with somebody who's emotional, who's loving. If it's like the Ajna chakra, you're dealing with somebody who's very intelligent, and the only thing they care about is logic and everything. If you're dealing with the base chakra, that means these people, if it's beaming, they're very comforting, they're very grounded people. Obviously, if you're dealing with one above that, they're very sexual, lusty people. If you're dealing with people whose solar chakra, they're fiery people. Now, when you get around people and you become sensitive to their energies, their thought process becomes clear. Their body language will also give away a lot of their thought process and their emotional ability. One of the things that people in Satanism, and especially in Harmonism, are taught is how not only to read body language, what body language means, and how to feel the energy of the other person out to include the chakra stations. And so when I ask him certain promptive questions that would involve making a decision based on a moral or an amoral action, there is a fibrillation in him. That fibrillation tells me that there is now a dissonance. And that dissonance means that he is having an issue in deciding the amoral decision versus the moral decision.
So, and do you have an idea of what that comes from?
His upbringing. A lot of us were forced in one way or another to be giving the morals of society, and the majority of the society's morality is based upon Christianity, or what they say their morality is. Their actual morality is disgusting, but what they say their morality is. And so we're all raised up by our parents, and a lot of our morality is passed on through the raising period, specifically dealing between 5 and 8 years old in the psychological development of the person is when the morality is really set into the person. But there are ways to destroy the morality. That's through acts and other things that desensitize you to that, breaking that moral code.
So do you think, Jared is, like, what would be a moral thing that he does that could be immoral? Like having compassion for his sister or his mom or something like that?
Well, see, now we're bridging on a line there. Family and the ones who are closest to you that you love, you want to have morality with you. It's people who are outside your circles that we could care less about being immoral to. But like for him, like for example, one of the things that we do is we collect the ash from our rituals. We'll put them in bags that have demon seals on them. Then we'll take those bags and we'll go throw it in the graveyard. Okay? I don't think Jared would be comfortable at all doing that. Jeremy, on the other hand, he don't give a shit. I mean, I'll be honest with you. We've gone through Dallas painting churches with things, and Jeremy will go pee on the doorstep and not give a shit. Jared would not do that. I mean, hell, we've left bloody scrolls in churches, and I mean actual bloody scrolls. Jared would have an issue with that, where Jeremy and I, we don't care. Does that make more sense now?
It does.
Okay.
So will this get in the way of Jared becoming kind of higher up in your church?
No, if he goes through the process, his morality will be broken down over time. A lot of those prayers are specifically to break that morality. on a psychological level. Yes, you're calling in entities, but you're also reprogramming and breaking a lot of those moral codes that are, forced into you as a child.
Do you feel like you feel like Jared is having a hard time kind of breaking the morality?
He's not having a hard time with it. It's coming along. It's just going to probably take him longer than most because, from what I can tell, his mother is a very compassionate, loving person, and my interactions with her affirm that to me. And as soon as he can break the concept or break what we call objective apathy or object apathy, where you can take a person and see them as an object instead of a person, once he can master that, he won't have any more problems.
And what do you think has attracted him to, we haven't done his interview yet, so I'm curious what you think, what has attracted him to devil worship?
I think what attracted him originally to us was the fact that we work on Eastern concepts. We work within the Kundalini, we work within the Hinduism aspects. And so we're not only trying to change interior, we're also trying to change exterior. Anybody who comes to any type of Satanism is looking for power. Whether it's internal power, external power, they're looking for power because it's a power-based religion. So obviously the stir of power.
You're good at this. This is great. So getting back to the thing about family and love and compassion within your family, describe your family and how if there's compassion and love and how that's okay.
I don't understand the question.
You were saying something about that having
the moral line between those who are within and those who are without.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell me about how that works in your family, like what the values are in your family and how your family functions in terms of being loving or having compassion or being moral with each other.
Well, I mean, between me and Kelsey, and I guess I'll just take it per family member because it's different for each one. Between Kelsey and I, there's complete honesty and trust, no matter what happens, and we'll try to work out whatever it is that has happened. Certain aspects of the relationship are open, certain aren't. But there is a complete trust, there is a complete that we can do whatever and say whatever we need to with each other. Yeah, sure, we still have our fights, but everybody does. But the thing is, we're committed to each other. We understand that some things require work. There's always open communication. There's a lot of times and there's a lot of things, I mean, I'm not going to lie about it. In this type of religion, there's a lot of subterfuge, there's a lot of lying, there's a lot of things in order to create things in your way, and her and I could just bounce off each other like nobody's business because we know each other